Yo, they try to get me $1 million ideal. I became $1 million target. See, so many of us entrepreneurs focus on the ideals, the strategies, the fundraising that we overlook protecting our backside with that boring legal stuff. If it wasn't for that boring legal stuff, I would have lost my company. I would have lost my ideal, all because of greed. I'm going to get into that today, tell you exactly what happened to me. And I'm also going to teach you how to protect your backside. I'm going to give you all the legal things you need in your toolkit as a company, as a startup, to make sure you don't lose your $1 million ideal. If you're interested in learning more about this, I'm going to advise that you stick around, you get a pen and pad, and you tune in. It might not be too sexy, but it's going to be something that's going to save you. Let's go ahead and go for this ride. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me, but also I want to let you know that a little bit further in this video, I'm going to tell you 2 critical areas that can wipe out company no matter what, with no recourse whatsoever, and you need legal protection in those areas. Now, what happened to me? $1 million ideal became $1 million target. It didn't happen from somebody on the outside, not a competitor, not someone trying to infiltrate the company. It happened from the inside. And this is what I preach so much to you guys, that you got to make sure your inner circle is right and you have yourself protected. This came from a person who actually was part of the ideation stage. Ideation stage is when you're creating the ideal and you're bridging it together and you're coming up with the concept. If you go back and listen to my podcast a couple of weeks ago called Stop Begging for Investment Money, you'll see that in this, I talk about contracting team members, especially early on with programming. This is exactly what I did in the early days. I say early days. I feel prehistoric with you guys, man. Back in the early 2000s, getting programming done was very, very hard. It wasn't something where it was ready and available everywhere. Matter of fact, the first company that we went to, wanted to charge us $100,000. $100,000 wasn't unusual for startup companies, but it was way out of our ballpark. It was crazy. And I know today AI can do it for nothing. We found a guy to do it for $10,000. This guy that we found, we entrusted him. We formed a bond with him. We did a lot of brainstorming and strategy meetings with the person in order to take the ideal and give it some type of presence. We had to build a website and the product and service in order to be able to go raise any type of money. He came into our inter sanctum, as you want to call it. This guy was, locked in. I mean, we were chummy. I mean, it was really good times as we was developing this. What ended up happening is that he was hungry for money. We did it in stages and we paid in stages for the completion. He rushed the stages towards the end in order to get the final payment, and the product wasn't complete. So we had a dispute over that. He tried to sue us, went online and tried to dog us out with bad reviews, saying we owe him money. He did work and the whole aspect. And this is where I say you got to be careful, right? So we had this $1 million ideal. We thought we had the right person for it. You got to remember, folks, in the beginning, to your friend, I mean, you're getting along great. I mean, this guy really was like, man, I believe in this ideal. And it's amazing how people change. He became evil and vicious and foul. I mean, it's like, yo, really? You can act like this over some peanuts? You already got 75% of your money and this is how we acting? So the key thing here is what I'm emphasizing is that you have to have your legal in order. And guess what? I had the legal in order. I don't play them games, yo. I don't play them games. We had a lawyer already a part of our team, extended part of our team, that we put together an agreement for this particular person. It was in stages. It spelled out that you had to meet certain requirements as us doing an audit and completion status before you could see payment. We were very meticulous about how to make sure things are done. Don't ever allow somebody to make you feel guilty for being meticulous about your product or your service. If they are doing something for you, they're designing it, creating it, then it needs to be to your specifications. If it's not, then don't pay them, but you need to have the legal document in order to do that. And he had the legal document to do such, and we didn't pay him the end. He decided he wanted to go rogue on that, and that was on him. And guess what, folks? We found some other programmers in Latin America that finished up the project. They actually did more than finish up the project. They decided to redo the whole thing for us, and it only cost us $3,000. We ended up with a better group of people, and it taught us a lesson early on. Now, I say all that to say is that you have to have that foundation. We could have easily been sidelined. We could have easily been shot out of the air before we even really got off the runway if we would not have our papers in order, if we didn't have our legal in order. I'm going to go ahead and dive in right now and give you the fundamental things that you would need for startup. These are the things that you're going to require in the beginning, no matter what. You can't skip it. Number one is going to be your structure of your company. You have to have it structured correctly for how you're going to go into business. Is it going to be a C corp? Is it going to be an LLC? Is it going to be LLP? Are you going to use the tax status like a subchapter S? Hopefully this doesn't sound foreign to you. I did a video probably 7-8 months ago called the Startup Kit. It actually breaks down each of these structures and what they represent. If you're going to raise money, you need to be a C corp because you need to be able to issue stocks. I would have somebody who knows the legalities of this actually establish this for you to make sure it is a separate entity and you protect yourself from being sued by any outside people. So when this guy sued us, he didn't sue us. He sued the company. So it kept it as a separate entity. I wasn't worried about my personal because I had that established correctly. The second thing that you want to do is extremely important. If you're at the ideation stage, you're creating the product, you're putting it together, you're putting the glue, and you have a lot of people involved, you want to make sure you're protecting your intellectual property. You want to make sure that if it needs a trademark, you're getting a trademark. If you need to be copywritten, you're getting it copywritten. If you need to get a patent, you're getting a patent. You need to make sure you're protecting the product or service, especially out the gate, because you don't want anybody to steal it, to leak it, to get a hold of it. There's a lot of shady people out there. So you got to make sure someone's not duplicating what you're doing, especially if you're getting someone from a different country to do the product or service. You have to make sure you have those things in play and that they know that you have that in place. So that way it's a good deterrent. You need to do that. And plus, if you're coming up with your brand, then you need to have that intellectual property protection. Don't shortcut it. Don't call yourself trying to do it yourself. Get a lawyer. Have a good amount set aside for your legal. That way you can make sure this stuff is protected. I know, guys, this might sound a little academic and a little boring. It's not sexy. It's not telling you how to flip and make money, but it's telling you how to protect it. So when you build something, no one can come and just take it from you, because that's the thing that will crush you and destroy you. The next item for your legal foundation, I'm laughing because, okay, I'll give you the the shortcut way of doing it, or called the bootleg way of doing it, the way that we did it. And this is what you see on a website. What's the term and service? What's the privacy policy? All that. This is so critical because it protects you when you have people on your website or viewing your products or your service that they can't do certain things. It protects you if they go ahead and try to do things and manipulate what you created. Have you ever looked at those? It's a lot of words, a lot of nuances. So how do you know what to have, right? Okay, go hire you a lawyer who can put the whole thing together. That's one way of doing it. Or you could do what we did. We took someone else's that was similar to us, a competitor or a potential competitor, someone who's a lookalike in the space. We copied it. Then we took that and we gave it to a lawyer. We're changing our information out, put in our information, say, hey, we put a draft together. Can you take a look at it and see if you can tweak it? And it was a lot cheaper having them tweak the things we had. They knew what we did. They tweaked it. And that's what we use for our terms and service and privacy policy. Now, I'm going to advise you, read it, understand it. Know what you're trying to protect. There might be things that you need to add to it, things you might need to take away. So just don't throw it up there, and have a true understanding of what it is. So that way it's protecting you. All right. So that's the three things I would say as a foundation. But when you're coming out the gate, those are things you gotta have, period. No questions asked. Now, the next section I'm going to give you is things are very, 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 very crucial. And I say this because I've been touching on this, like in my last podcast about partnership. This is going to address that. This is the internal aspect of those people that can destroy your company or can be destroyed. The first one's going to be a founder agreement. a founder's agreement. Write it down. If you did not watch my last podcast, then you don't have any idea of where I'm about to go. If you did, then you understand where I'm about to go. If you have more than one founder, like with me, there was 2 other founders, and we had to have an agreement put together. We had to say how much equity we each had, what roles we had, what responsibilities. These are things that I went into in my last podcast last week. You have to have that kind of agreement together, because you don't plan to get a divorce, but it can happen, and you better to be prepared for a divorce rather than not be prepared and you get taken to the cleaners. So you have to have a founder's agreement together. Here's one that people don't think about. They really don't think about this one. An employment agreement. As you hire employees, they need to sign an agreement too. What are they going to be subject to? What do they have to keep confidential? What do they have to do in their role? What is their responsibility? What is their recourse if something goes south? What is your recourse if something goes south with their employment? You need to have all those things in place, because they can take you down. They can destroy you. They can wreck your whole business, and you could have that $1 million ideal, but it becomes a 10-cent ideal because they destroy it. You need to have an employment agreement. Again, I'm going to tell you, get a lawyer to draw this up for you, because you want to make sure it's unique to your business, to your company. That way there is no loopholes. This section here, when it comes to the founder agreement and comes to employment agreement, you want a lawyer to really put that together. You want to pay for that, because this is the area where personalities and attitudes and personal issues and craziness and situations come into play that can really wreck it. So you want to make sure it's airtight. The third one's what I just talked about, with us being sued by this contractor, this vendor, this programmer, and that's a vendor agreement. With him, we did like a contract. It wasn't necessarily a vendor agreement, but you need to have a vendor agreement set for all the different vendors you're going to use, because as a company, you're going to be using a lot of different vendors, and you want to make sure they're subject to the same thing. Confidentiality, you want to make sure that, it's agreed upon payments. It's all these different things you need to have in play. Just like you're trying to get off the ground and you're money hungry. They're money hungry too. They want to get paid. They want to get through this, providing the service. And get their money. So you have to make sure you have a structure on the relationship that they know what to expect and what you're to expect. So that way there is no fuzziness, because being sued by various vendors can also destroy your reputation as a company. So make sure, again, get a lawyer, make sure it's airtight. I told you that I was going to get to ones that can really just wipe you out 100%, no argument. And that's going into this next section here. It is critical that you have these 3 things, and I'm going to start off with fundraising. What I mean by fundraising, you have to have the right documentation together. See, a lot of you aren't familiar with different things that can happen to you in fundraising. Dilution is one. If you don't know what I mean by dilution, is that you can have 55% ownership, but when it's all said and done, you might be diluted down to 0. That means you don't have a company. If you don't have your documentations in order, if you don't have a structure together. And that's why I say it's very important to have that in play. What equity are you going to have? Okay, when you bring on a new investor, what percentage are you going to go down to? Because you're going to lose percentages as you bring in more investors. So where are you going to go? Make sure you don't get diluted out. What's the time frame in being able to raise the funds, and what your share is going to be, to make sure you don't get choked on the vine? Done many videos talking about just raising investment money. Go back and look at the catalog of videos I have just on raising money, the dark side of VC money, the whole works. It'll tell you all the things that why you need to have a document in place as a protection from the boogeyman. In a sense, it's just like fire. Getting investment money is just like fire. It's good, keeps you warm, gives you light, but also can burn you. And I know a lot of people get burned. I didn't necessarily get burned per se, because I've seen other people get burned. So I told you there were 2 that can wipe you out completely. And we see it every day. And that's data security being number 1. You have to know the laws for protecting people's data, because if it's anything that's brought against you from consumers and you violated something, that can destroy your company just like that. Them lawsuits wipe you out. You're done. Forget about how good your sauce is. Forget about how great your product is. Forget about all that. If you violate people's privacy, or if there's a hack, is there a breach, any of those things, you could be done. So you need to make sure you have your lawyers on this. You need to make sure that you're putting something airtight. And then you also just on the programming side, you need to make sure you have things in place to secure the data, period. So that one right there, most definitely wipe you out. This last one, this is the undefeated king. And that is the IRA, the ARA, and the S. Taxes, bro. Taxes. You have to have your legal stuff lined up for taxes. Are you taking out payroll taxes? Are you paying it quarterly like you're supposed to? Are you doing the taxes for the corporation like you're supposed to? Are you paying the sales tax if it's a service? Are you doing all the things you're supposed to do tax-wise? And what are those things? You need somebody legal to help you make sure you have an understanding. Trust me, dude. You do, because I got caught up in the fog of all this, trying to figure out, okay, when do I pay? How do I pay? Why do I pay? All this kind of stuff. And if you get caught up and you do it wrong, this is an easy way for you to be wiped out. I don't care how successful you are. We have heard all the stories of big time companies being jacked up, or even big time celebrities losing everything they had. The IRA, the ARA, and the S. Don't play. So make sure you have somebody who specializes in tax law to help you out with this. Again, I'm saying invest in legal. Should be part of your investment. And I know most of us overlook it and just want to invest in the product and the sexy thing and the fun thing and the cool thing. Before you do all that, make sure that this is right here taken care of. You can also check out this video here where it breaks down the different things you can do to build up confidence for an investor. And this one here will actually talk about that partnership and how you can actually structure it right and protect yourself. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, come on, give me a like, man. Give me a like and put some comments down below. This is your boy J.I., a Random Podcast. I'll holler at you on the other side.